everybody, Kaden here, and today I have the FToys Vintage Bike Kit Volume 8. Included in this is 2 different types of Kawasaki bikes and 8 different variations to collect. This is a 1:24 scale model, and this is also a Kawasaki officially licensed product. So let's go ahead and check this out. Alright everybody, so here is the box. Now if you're not familiar with FToys, I really like FToys. They do a lot of really cool scale models, including anything that you can really think of. They've done tanks, planes, cars, and stuff, you name it. And I really like FToys. I've done a couple of their models, and FToys stands for Food Toys, and that may seem a little bit odd considering that this is a scale model, but the reasoning for that is pretty interesting. So pretty much the reason why they're called Food Toys is because included in every box is a piece of chewing gum. Now the reason why they're advertising this pretty much just as a gum product, and their whole company is based off of food plus toys, is because so that they can sell it in Japanese supermarkets in the candy section, which is really interesting and actually pretty unique that you can get full-on scale models at a candy section at a typical supermarket. So that is what I really like about FToys, not only for their uniqueness and where you can buy these, but also the scale models are actually really nicely detailed and very well done. So these are already pre-painted models where you pretty much just have, well, pre-painted unassembled models where you pretty much just have to glue together, and in each of them, as you can see, there are multiple ones that you can collect and you don't know which one that you are going to get. So in this particular kit right here, there are 8 different variations to collect, and there are 2 types of bikes, the 900Super4 and the 750RS. Now I'm not a I'm not very professional, or I don't know a whole lot about motorcycles, but I can already tell this is going to be a really cool and awesome scale model, and I'm really hoping I will get either number 6 or number 2. So let's go ahead and open this up and see which one we get. At the top here, there's just this quick little hole right here. Awesome. And here is, of course, the gum. This comes in pretty much all FToys. So I'll put this aside. You can always chew on this while you're working. And let's take a look at which model we have gotten. So inside, of course, we have our pieces. And inside is our decals here. These are just some water slide decals. And what is awesome is, I think already from looking at the decals, we got number 2, which is really awesome because this is the one that I wanted to get to. Number 2 and number 6. So number 2 here is the Z1. This is 1972 year, and this is also a European spec, which is really awesome, and this is also in a yellow color. And let's go ahead and take a look here at the instructions. So we first get this here, and of course our instructions. And alrighty, I think we are now going to be ready to build now. And I'm just going to show you some of the tools that I have included with me. I have here my Tamiya extra thin cement, so this is pretty much just the glue that I'm going to be using. I also have my plastic sprue cutters. I also have a small piece of sandpaper, and of course I have my scalpel knife that I'll be using to assemble this. Now, as you can see in the model here from these plastic pieces, these are all already painted for you, so pretty much all you have to do is just glue them together, and that is about it. And for gluing them, I'm going to be using this Tamiya extra thin cement. I like to use the extra thin cement because they're way better for the super smaller pieces, which is to be expected with the FToys, as this is in 1:24 scale. So let's go ahead and get building. Alright everybody, so I have went ahead and finished the bike, and I gotta say, this is actually a really nice scale model, and for me, who is not super big into motorcycles as some other people are, I gotta say I am really pleased with how this model turned out, and how nicely and fun this was to put together. Now, as with all FToys kits, they are really fun to put together, especially because me, well, let's just say that I am not the greatest painter in the world at all, and so to have it come pre-painted and where I just gotta assemble pretty much all the rest of the bike, that is really awesome. And overall, I just really love how this turned out. There is pretty much zero complaints with this model at all. The only complaint I will say though are with the decals. Now, the decals were partially due to my fault because I don't have the most professional materials. For example, I think decal solution would have been really great with this, like microset and microsol, which is pretty much just little bottles of decal solutions which softens and adheres to the model. So the problems where I had with that on the decals were up here near, I'm pretty sure this is the gas tank, yes, right here. This decal is very well, not too thick but not too thin. It just didn't really go down to the curvature of the actual gas tank, and so it didn't really fit well, and it's on there but it looks very out of place. It looks very shiny, as you can see there, and it just looks out of place for the bike. I think I'll definitely be wanting to paint over that more than actually putting the decal on. And so is another decal over here, which are these little silver decals. I'm not exactly sure what this is because I'm not an expert on this bike, but you might be able to tell. It looks a bit shinier. It's right there on that black piece. And this material is actually more of like a rubbery plastic sort of feeling, just so that it has that sort of look, and also so when you're putting on the pieces it can actually bend and everything. Now, putting the decals on here were not too great, and I think if I had decal solution it would have fit a little bit more better on, but I think otherwise it would have looked way better if I were to just paint it on, especially with the type of material it is. And also another thing were the speedometers here. So these little areas, there's like two little circles, okay, and there's a lip on them, which is a nice effect to make it look a little bit more realistic. But what I found is actually really cool. There's different variations for all of these little details and stuff, because of course I got the European spec, and so it's in very tiny font, and so it's a little bit hard to tell, but I started to mess up a little bit on it because the decal had a little bit of that transparent decal over the actual circle. That is a little bit hard to explain, but anyways, there's like extra decal that I was going over, and so since I didn't have any decal softener to make it fit in better, one of them I actually had to cut out, and it kept falling out, but I was actually able to get in there. Now, besides the decals, which is probably just mostly due to my fault of not being the world's most greatest decal setter, I think overall this turned out really great. There's just a lot of details in the bike itself. The molding was really nice, and also the plastic quality as far as sanding it down and everything is really awesome, and I really like their addition of the pre-painted parts with the turn signals and of course the tail light and the headlight, which I did mess up on a little bit. Now, originally, probably because I wasn't paying attention to the instructions too well. Sorry, that's kind of a tongue twister for me. As you can tell right here on number 5, I'm pretty sure, I can't read Japanese, but I'm pretty sure that there was a little tiny piece that's telling you to put it in so that all of the detailing in the headlight is aligned. Now, I wasn't paying too much attention, and I just looked at 38 and 39. I was like, okay, we just gotta put those together. And I actually ended up accidentally sanding down that little piece, and so it's very subtle, but the little details in the headlights are very misaligned. Well, sort of slightly misaligned, but once you look at it more, it's very weird looking. It probably won't pick up in the camera, but yes, that is one problem that I have there, is just gluing that headlight on. But other than that, the wheels do spin, as you can see. It's just a little bit stiff. They actually designed it so that you just put in a little metal rod and it can freely move like that. I think part of the manufacturer's fault is with the whatchamacallit, the quality inside the actual tire going to the main wheel piece. As you can see, it's a little bit bendy right around here, and when it rolls you can just sort of tell that's a little bit warped, and so it doesn't have the smoothest spin around the whole entire area. And same with the back here, but of course this is a model, it's not really meant to be played with, and so you can set it down, which is really nice. And there's also some moving parts here, sorry. You can actually move this part down here, and you can actually have it stand up, which is really awesome. So let me just see if we can get that to stand there. It's a little bit hard to do, but it is a nice feature to have on this. This was working a little bit ago. But anyways, you do have that feature there, which is really awesome. And I think my favorite part of this is, of course, the exhaust. I think it really stands out from the bike itself. And here is a 360 view around the entire bike. And that has to do it for the Vintage Bike Kit Volume 8, and this of course was the second one, and I think that this is really awesome. My only complaints of course were just the decals. The decals were not sticking too great at all, and overall I think for a beginner, I think there are some other some other FToys that I think would be a lot more beginner orientated for, but this kit right here was overall really fun to put together. There was just some very tedious parts, and I really like how this turned out. Alright everybody, so that was my build and review for the Vintage Bike Kit Volume 8. This was, of course, the second version out of the 8 different versions that you can collect. This was a 1972 Kawasaki 900Super4 in the European spec. And I gotta say, this is really awesome for 1 to 24th scale. This was fun to build. The only downsides to this model, I'd say, is probably just the decals. I think if you had some decal solution, it would be a lot more better looking. But I think overall, it would look a lot better, especially if you get this version, for these little silver pieces to just actually paint them, because they look very funny as decals unless if you have the decal solution, and they do not stick very well, which is too bad. But other than that, all of the other decals and all of the details in the actual bike itself are really awesome. I think my most favorite parts about this, of course, are the exhaust and also the details in the headlights, the turn signals, and of course the tail light. And this is what it looks like in my hand. So as you can see, a very small scale and very detailed. It just fits in your hand just like that, and I think this will go very well on display. For a beginner's model, I would definitely probably not really suggest this. Even though that this is really cool, Kawasaki officially licensed product, I think if you are really into motorcycles, you should definitely get this. But for beginners, I do not really suggest this as much for your first FToy model. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and if you did, be sure to give it a like. And also, if you want to see more videos like these, also be sure to subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!